you live ECU? Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
It is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday edition of the program. East Carolina falls big at NC State last night, so they get run ruled in 8 innings. We'll diagnose and dissect that game. And also, potentially big news, Sean Jenkins, ECU's top pitcher, leaves with some apparent arm discomfort. We'll discuss the ramifications of that as ECU potentially suffered another blow on the injury front. But hoping for the best for Sean, hoping best for the Pirates, as it's been a tough year in that regard. But so disappointing day. A lot to play for this weekend at Memphis. We'll get into that a whole lot more. In segment 2, we'll be joined by James Gilio. He usually is in studio on Wednesdays. He's on the road with his father today, handling some stuff. So we're going to get him on the phone for a segment where we'll catch up with his thoughts at the game. He was actually at the game, working the game with Peyton Tuck, one of our interns. So we'll get his perspective on being there in attendance. We know he had a rant last time the Pirates fell big to NC State. I joked with him. I said we can just replay the same rant, and it might apply just fine. So we'll do that. Segment 3, we are going to look at the ECU players who are getting pro opportunities. Mike Wright Jr. and Sam Dankup specifically tell you how they can make their respective rosters and at what position they can do so as. And then we're also going to talk about Darius Bell going to the CFL, maybe hit some NBA, NHL playoffs, as well as Philip Pilkington's Boston Bruins are still alive. Philip, welcome back. And also in Boston, you had the Celtics lose, and you also had Trey Savage shove versus the Red Sox. So mixed day for you.
Yeah, up and down day going into the 8th inning of the NC State game. Dylan Johnson, during the break, came on and said, can we get another James Gilio rant tomorrow? He thought it was entertaining, so he's wondering if we're getting another one. Look, I will say there's probably a little bit of difference in this rant. I think they played with a little more heart in the field maybe last time. I think they went after, hit balls a little better. Just the approach at the plate maybe was the question. We'll get into that more later. Yeah, up and down day. Good job, Trey. Proud of you, buddy. Hate it was against my Sox. But, hey, the Sox only faced Trey for 16 outs. The other 11 outs were not against Trey, and they still looked like they didn't know what the hell they were doing at the plate. The Bruins fought hard for 4 periods. Hockey games normally only 3, but they won an OT, and the Celtics thought they were the hockey team, and they fought really hard for 3 quarters. And just in the 4th quarter, decided not to show up. Dom texted me after the game and said, letting up a 33-11 run is embarrassing at home. I said, Dom, that is embarrassing at home, on the road, or even on freaking Mars. If you give up a 33-11 run and you're the Boston Celtics, you pride yourself on defense and you quit playing defense. And yes, they missed how many ever shots in a row, but that's because they were forcing stuff because their defense was bad. It all starts with the defense on this team. And I know I sound like somebody else we know, but hey, they got the best defense in the league, and that's why they're as good as they are.
And they're still up 3-2, so going back to Philly, hopefully they can close it out there. But if not, they will get Game 7 at home if necessary. All right, which Philip does not want. All right, we will get more into NBA here in a little bit. Let's talk about ECU, NC State. So I've said on multiple shows this week, this game, to me, like outside of it being a rivalry and obviously being important, it like wasn't that vital to win. Now, that doesn't excuse the performance. You've now gotten crushed by your in-state rivals twice. You've gotten run-ruled by NC State and North Carolina in the same year. You've got outscored by NC State 22-5 across 2 games that you went 0-2 against them. So, that's not good. Cliff Godwin will be the first to say, and he said so after the game. It was bad all the way around. Pitching, too many walks. Hitting, missed opportunities early, and then once again, ECU has only struck out 10 times or more in 4 games this year in a 48-game sample size, or 46-game sample size. And 2 of those are against NC State, and all of those strikeouts were via freshman pitching. So, I don't understand. Now, these guys have good stuff. They run up there 95, 97, good sliders, but, is it a lack of a scouting report, Philip? Because, a lot of these guys have not thrown many innings, but the weird thing is you saw them in Greenville, and you swung and missed a lot then. And they've just looked overmatched in 2 games against NC State that really I have not seen in many other games this year. Like just like terrible late swings against high velo, and maybe they just haven't seen enough high velo. But I thought they had some patient approach early that were some patient approaches early that were good, but a lot of swings and misses on fastballs that were pretty much down the middle, but I guess just too much velo to catch up to.
Yeah, so Coach O came on the air and said, he felt like that second inning was crucial. The fact that the only RBIs came specifically off walks, he felt like that kind of hurt the approach of the team. That not that the walks were bad, but that they were not able to truthfully knock in a run. That's where he felt that the game kind of turned. And he said that on the broadcast last night. The tough thing, I think, Steven, they don't always see that velo, but you mentioned the patience, which worked early. And then NC State just started catching White really early. And these NC State games have been plagued between the bad American Conference with bad pitching, where we've been able to get hit by a lot of pitches and walk a lot. Well, NC State doesn't hit guys. NC State doesn't walk guys. And all of a sudden you'd look up and they'd be down 0-2, having looked at 2 strikes. I think that was kind of the weird part, is this patient approach has been something that has worked so well for this team. Then when you got up there against a team who was throwing a high volume of strikes, you were all of a sudden down 0-2, and then to your point, they were swinging when the ball was already in the catcher's glove. So they didn't swing till they were already down 0-3 because the ball had already crossed the plate at that point. So I think it's just great scouting by Elliott Ava, and it's a great job by this NC State staff to just go in there and throw at the Pirate hitters, not directly at them, but come at them and attack them in ways that maybe we don't see in conference play, in a way they have to pitch in conference play because they're constantly every week seeing lineups that are at the level or if not better than East Carolina's.
I think that's my biggest takeaway from watching ECU NC State twice, is that the American Conference is nowhere near the talent gap is significant. Like, just if those are the freshman arms NC State's running out there, like that says a lot. And maybe those guys are extremely talented and just have not gotten the opportunity because they're young. But you just compare what I've seen from some young NC State arms compared to what I see in the American. It's night and day. Cameron pointing out the talent difference between NC State and ECU also glaring. I think so too. I mean, they have some physicality in their lineup. Now, both times ECU was not able to throw, outside of Sean Jenkins, which we'll get to in a minute. You didn't see Norby. You didn't see Joseph Webb in either game. So that could play a role. But also their lineup much more physical than ECU. All right, a lot of comments about Sean Jenkins and Lane and Cameron saying, dumb decision to put him in. And, basically we lost a pitcher because, he's pitching in a game where ECU's losing by 5 runs. I did, all right, a couple things here. First off, I'll push back on him being lost because he was put in this situation. I mean, look, he's been dealing with arm soreness for a while now. Cliff Godwin came on this show Monday and said Sean Jenkins wanted to pitch. He was frustrated by not pitching over the weekend, and said that he had felt as good as he's felt. So, I 100% expected Sean Jenkins to throw last night. I did expect maybe to see him a little earlier when it was 2-2 or even, 5-2, 4-2. Like they went Marley and Rose, and that didn't work out. So I assumed the plan was to bridge the gap to the middle to late innings, then go to Jenkins to close it out or to get you to the home stretch. And those other pitchers didn't deliver. That's what ended up leading to Jenkins coming in when it was 7-2. My assumption is he was probably going to throw 2 innings and then get out. I mean, he threw 12 pitches. Look, if he threw 12 pitches and gets hurt against State, he was probably realistically going to get hurt this weekend, or whatever happened this weekend. So, I think people are just kind of frustrated with the injuries and blaming Cliff here. You can blame maybe, hey, put him in a 5-run game versus earlier. I get that, but I don't think he was injured because he was put in the game, is what I'm trying to say, Philip. I don't think that was a coaching mistake. He wanted to pitch. He pitched last night. I think he was always going to pitch last night. You can question maybe the spot.
Yeah, you can question the spot for sure, and maybe we should have went to him earlier just because the game unfolded. But I don't think we necessarily should have went to him earlier because he got injured. right? If he would have got injured, he just would have gotten injured 3 innings earlier. And I think, Cliff Godwin has been very consistent with you're coming off an injury, you kind of get a low leverage situation. He doesn't want guys who are coming off an injury to have to go out there and press, be perfect, worry about every little thing. He just wants them to go out there and worry about throwing pitches and their body feeling comfortable. This is something that we have seen time and time again for the last 10 plus years. And if that is his philosophy, that's his philosophy. And 99% of the time, it's probably the right decision. Again, I don't know if it was the wrong decision. It looks like, it was just the wrong decision to throw him out there at any point in the next week. He probably would have gotten injured because it sounds like his body wasn't ready. But nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody could have known that. And, I mean, if you're Cliff and you're AK and you're, second, third best overall pitcher on the entire roster, is mad, I don't know if he came into their office, but is clearly making it, clear, hey, I didn't pitch last weekend. I'm one of your better pitchers. Put me on the mound. Who are they to tell him, nah, man, we don't want you pitching? If he says he feels good, he says he feels good. He's a grown-ass 18-year-old man. He knows, and unfortunately, it might have just been one pitch where he tweaked something. It could have been, hey, he wasn't ready to throw yet. We can sit here and go, what if, till the cows come home. It is what it is. It's done. It's over. Hopefully it's minor. But he was coming off arm soreness, and you're always more likely to re-injure something than you are to just create a new injury.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been very diligent in the workload since this, soreness started creeping up. I don't know at what point in the arm he's been dealing with some discomfort. Obviously, that's a concern to begin with. But, if Jenkins, at the end of the day, you got to listen to the player. If Jenkins, as Cliff Godwin said, indicated he feels great as best as he have and he wants to pitch, you put him in the game. And I agree, maybe you do it earlier, but hindsight's 20/20. I still think they were hoping the offense would wake up, get into a bit of a slugfest, then go to Jenkins and him quiet it down. But the offense never woke up. So, since the April 14th game against NC State in Greenville, where Sean Jenkins threw 3 innings and 40 pitches, he had only thrown 2/3 of an inning and 7 pitches. That was in that ODU game. So he had not pitched the last 2 weekends. He got 2 outs in that ODU game, both of which were strikeouts, so his stuff looked good in that game. Gets the weekend off and comes back versus State when he's feeling good. So, I just don't. To me, this was not a mishandled situation. This is just an unfortunate situation. Certainly, there have been times where maybe you overuse a guy. I don't think they've overused Sean Jenkins at all this year. Looking at the numbers, they haven't ridden him super long in any game. They've thrown him multiple times, a couple of weeks. But I feel like they've been very, very careful with Sean Jenkins. Now Joseph Webb is another story. If he gets hurt, it's probably due to overusage. But Jenkins, if anything, he may be feeling discomfort because he's throwing a ton of hard sliders this year. And obviously, anytime you're doing that, the torque on the elbow, the arm, is real. So that may be where the soreness is coming from compared to last year.
Yeah, that definitely could be it. 'Cause, I think he was definitely being used more last year. That was even pre his injury this year compared to last year's being used more. And look, if we're going to talk about ECU and overused pitchers, you brought up one this year in Webb. There's a long list of guys that I'm going to name 10 years from now before I name Sean Jenkins. Guys like C.J. Mayhew, Wyatt Lunsford Chinkman, Danny Beal, Garrett Saylor, Matt Bridges. Do I need to keep going? A lot more guys before Sean Jenkins. Cam Colmore, thank you. So, and I'm sure there's 3 or 4 more guys. So that's not the issue.
No doubt. And a couple comments here saying, Chuck says, quote, you have to also consider this is a must-win scenario for State. State is a bubble team. They needed this win where ECU is a 2 or 3 seed. I don't think it was a must-win, honestly, for anybody. I think it's a good win for State. It would have been a good win for ECU. Winning the weekend is more important. NC State beating Miami this weekend is more important than beating ECU. ECU beating Memphis this weekend in a conference title race is more important than beating State. And I just think State played that much better. They looked that much better. So you credit them. And in both games this year, they have absolutely taken it to East Carolina. in both occasions, and we'll see what happens the next time these two teams square off. All right, we'll talk more about the Sean Jenkins injury, the ramifications of that on Thursday. Assuming he's probably going to at least miss some time, how ECU goes from there. And we'll get James Giglio's take on that next as well. He'll join us over the phone. He's on the road. We'll catch up with James for a segment after this.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, segment 2 here. We usually get James Giglio, Hoist the Colors intern, in studio on Wednesday. He's on the road today with his family, so we got James over the phone for this segment. He was in the stadium for the baseball game last night, according to my sources, helping out our intern Peyton Tuck. Although he was not there in a working capacity, he did show up to help out Peyton. So we have James now. He had an epic rant after the first ECU NC State blowouts. James, do you have another rant prepared, or are we just going to replay the same one?
No, I do not have the same rant. There's nothing else to be said. I think we could just replay I told you before, we could just replay the show from 2 weeks ago because the same game happened. Last night might have been a little worse, but yeah.
So you were there in person. What, if anything, could you notice from inside the stadium that maybe we couldn't see on TV or listening to the game, if anything?
I mean, nothing. I think NC State just played with a little more desperation. I know you and Kaysen talked on a previous show about who needed the game more, and I think State being on the bubble more. They really showed it last night. They, were hitting hits. They struggled pitching wise, but they were making the hits they needed to. And ECU, like I said, did not come to play. And I'm guessing my rant from 2 weeks ago did not inspire them like I thought it would, because it was worse errors-wise, walking guys, couldn't get a hit. I will say, though, there was more juice in the dugout than the home game, which I don't know why, but that was honestly one of my main takeaways.
Did anybody in the outfield lollygag after a ball like last time?
No Jack Herring lollygagging after the ball. Devin Whitaker did have a tough play in center field, but he was at least in like the fifth inning when they were already losing, fifth or sixth inning when they were already losing. And it wasn't a Jack Herring first inning situation where he's jogging after a double when it's 0-0. And I had to get mad at him on the field. So.
Yeah, I said going into this one, I just felt like it. Look, it should be a big game because ECU NC State. It should be for both teams. I think ECU, if they bounce back and win the series, hopefully sweep Memphis. Obviously, they're in good shape still, but I don't know, man. It almost seems like watching ECU versus NC State this year. This is the first time I can remember ECU looking like intimidated and outmatched in this matchup. And I don't know if it's just the talent gap is that difference or if it's just like mental. But like usually these are competitive, close games, and I don't know. Like, is the talent gap that much of a difference from watching it from your perspective?
I mean, obviously, the absence of Brady Lanahan definitely affects that, but I still don't think there's that much of a talent gap. Like I said, in the couple weeks ago, NC State is not 7 runs better than ECU at home. So I wouldn't chalk it up to a talent thing. Maybe it's a mental thing, like, hey, these guys are in the ACC and whatnot. But I still think, like I said a couple weeks ago, there should be more juice when you're playing NC State. Should be more juice when you're playing North Carolina. And yeah, North Carolina is definitely better than NC State. They're number 3 or number 2 in the country now, and they're going to be hosting a regional and a super regional. So you're still going to have more juice playing them and NC State because, again, those are the teams your fans and your students want you to beat. So I wouldn't chalk it up to a talent thing. I don't really know you could chalk it up to. But hey, ECU still has like the big picture in front. They still have everything they want in front of them, conference tournament wise and postseason wise.
I do have a question for both of you guys, though. You mentioned, maybe they get a little too jacked up because it's an ACC opponent, and then you kind of brought the whole fans thing into this, James. So you and Steven both want to ask you guys this. Like, is it one of those things maybe where because the conference is such a dud, where, yes, there's some good teams in it, but there's no energy going to these road places. There's no extra energy from our fans when anybody comes here except for Charlotte because it's so unregionalized that they just get that opportunity to finally play this in-state ACC school. And whether the team is good or not, and it's not necessarily the ACC side of the logo that they fear them. It's just like, hey, this is some great opportunity, and then they psych themselves out maybe and just don't play their brand of baseball.
Yeah, I'll say I think it should be like almost the opposite, though. Like, I feel like they should want these opportunities, and I guess maybe you could say it from that perspective. It could be mental. But I made this point a couple times. If you're not going to have any juice against NC State or North Carolina at home, how can we expect you to go to Clearwater and play, in front of 5 people in the conference tournament at noon on like a Thursday, right? How can we expect you to play? I know it's a different, set of circumstances, but I feel like teams that are mentally strong and, are there show up in those big games against those in-state teams.
Yeah, it is weird as I think about it because, like, the first game against North Carolina at home, they looked overwhelmed. And then these 2 midweek games, they looked overwhelmed. And they kind of looked overwhelmed against North Carolina for a time in Durham. And then, like, once Linehan got that big hit, it kind of, like, just ignited everything. And they felt more at ease. And obviously then the wheels came off for Carolina. So I don't – like, maybe it is a mental thing where they just feel – a little too much pressure in those moments, and then once they get the big moments, they can kind of relax and play their ball. So I don't know. It's like Cliff Godwin says, he's almost more of a psychologist than a coach at this point, and I feel like we're almost trying to figure it out too from our perspective because the results have been what they are. All right, James, the potential injury to Sean Jenkins, we don't know anything yet. Cliff Godwin said on 94.3 The Game he felt something in his arm. They'll get him evaluated. He's been dealing with soreness, but this is a potentially huge blow, and how does ECU find a way to overcome this if they can, if he's out a while?
Yeah, I don't know if this one will be over. I don't know if they'll be able to overcome this. Sean Jenkins has probably been their best reliever and maybe even their best pitcher all season. And at this point, I think if you're an ECU fan, you just have to hope this is precautionary because, like you said, and it was reported that he was dealing with soreness, I guess in the last week or last 2 weeks. And I heard you guys talking about before I hopped on, like this isn't, a lot of fans were mad at Cliff Godwin for putting in Sean Jenkins in that spot because, they were losing and it seemed like the game was decided. But I mean, like, I feel like Sean Jenkins has been underused this season. I don't know if you guys would agree, but I feel like compared to him or compared to Joe Webb, he's been severely underused. So I don't know if that's what you can chalk the injury up to. But at the end of the day, I think this is something you hope is precautionary.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been very diligent with how they've approached it. I feel like the soreness has probably played a role there, James, but like they could easily, we've seen it in the past, overuse a guy like this, and I don't think that's been the problem. So, look, if he's injured, it's an unfortunate situation. I think people are just frustrated and they're trying to find somebody to blame, and they want to blame, because obviously the head coach.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of injuries, especially on the pitching side of things. And when a guy like Sean Jenkins gets pulled in the middle of a game after he, wasn't out there that long, and the trainers to come out, I mean, fans are going to get frustrated. So, I mean, I don't know who to blame for this. I think maybe it's just, it's part of the game because injuries do happen.
No doubt. I am looking forward to, once the season's over, kind of having a conversation with Cliff, just like, do you feel like there's anything on the strength and conditioning or pitching approach front that can be done to maybe help with some of these injury things going into the season? I don't know. It just feels like obviously you're going to have injuries with pitching. It's a part of the game now, but it feels like ECU is getting crushed here these past couple of years on the injury side, both position player-wise and pitching-wise, I should say. All right, James, ECU going to Memphis this weekend. Do you think they put this one behind them and bounce back?
Yeah, I think they do. I think we see something similar to what we've seen in the last week against South Florida and the first two games versus Wichita State. I think we're going to see a sweep on the road. Then don't count Memphis out, though. They've been somewhat sneaky. I know they started poorly, but they've kind of bounced back the last couple of weeks. But I'm still expecting ECU to go down and sweep and finish the rest of their conference play out with winning every series down stretch.
All right, James Julio, your Lakers are in action tonight. Now, I did not admittedly watch any of Game 4. I did see the score a couple times. I was going to turn it on, and they got beat pretty good. They're going back to Los Angeles. Do they wrap it up tonight, or are they going back to Houston?
Yeah, Game 4 for the Lakers, I think, was a patent LeBron, kind of tank this game, rest up for Game 5, win in front of the home fans. I think they win it tonight. If they lose tonight, then there'll be some conversations that need to be had. But Kevin Durant's out again tonight. I think they should wrap it up tonight in 5.
Isaiah also seems very confident in the Lakers' ability tonight.
I will say I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that they're saying that Luka is, even if they win going in the OKC series, I'm seeing that he's even going to be out for that. So I don't know what that's about.
I did see Austin Reeves could be back tonight. Do you think he returns?
I think he might come back on a minute restriction. But like I said, if KD's out and you're at home, I feel like we don't need Reeves to close it out. And I'd rather give him the day of rest.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, he's listed as a game time decision. That'll be at 10 o'clock. Gosh, this will be a 10 o'clock tip, which means it'll be like 10:15, 10:20, like the Nuggets tip at 9:30 on ESPN, but it's going to be more like 9:50. Can we fix this, James? Do you have the power to get Adam Silver and figure out these start times a little bit better?
No, because Adam Silver's too busy worrying about the draft lottery and making sure the Spurs and the Mavericks and all them make sure they have dynasties for the next 15 years. And he's worried about that rather than what time the games come on.
It's just frustrating, man. And maybe we'd feel different if we weren't East Coast fans of our favorite teams that are not on the East Coast. You also have Raptors, Cavs tonight. That series 2-2. Magic going to the Pistons up 3-1, trying to close that thing out. So what else in the NBA? This has been a pretty entertaining first round, James. What else are you kind of locked in on these next few days?
Yeah, I think the Pistons will win tonight, but I think they'll end up losing in 6.
We may have lost.
I think we lost you, James.
300.
Oh, there we go. Repeat what you just said, James, because you cut out. They're driving through BFE, it sounds like.
Yeah. James, we may have to pull the plug on it, man. I cannot hear you. All right.
Begging to fire their coach. So.
Who needs to fire their coach?
Magic. I said the Magic are begging to fire their coach.
Okay.
All right. I think we've got you back. What were you saying?
I might have been in a dead zone. No, I was saying that the Pistons need to go out and get a second option scoring wise.
Yes.
Well, I think the problem is when they built the team, they built it around Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham being the 1-2, and Ivey just did not work out, and then they had to trade him. I think you're 100% right, but I think when the GM built the roster, that was the original intention.
Yeah, Ivey being a bust did not help.
James, I went ahead and I bet Timberwolves money line for Thursday. Now, the Nuggets are a 5.5-point favorite. I think if they win Game 6, they're winning Game 7. So this feels like Game 7 to me. Do you think that the Nuggets get it done, or do you think the Timberwolves just going to have their number here?
Edge you placed with the Nuggets, but like if the Nuggets do win tonight, yeah, they're wrapping it up in 7. Because without Anthony Edwards and DiVincenzo, it's very possible. But I think home crowd, I think they get it. I think they find a way to get it done. Rudy Gobert locks down Jokic.
It would be a sad day, and the Nuggets may end up blowing it up if they lose in this series because this era, they won a championship with it, but I think it's kind of falling apart. All right, last thing for you, James. New York Jets seemingly had a really good draft. Your take?
Yeah, they had a good draft, and next year is going to be more important. They got 3 first-round picks again. I think we're going to end up getting a quarterback, hopefully Arch Manning, and it doesn't turn out to be a bust. And even if we don't end up getting a quarterback, I think we could trade new perspective, trade for a guy like Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow.
All right. There is your latest report on the Jets, Lakers, NBA, and ECU baseball from James Giglio. James, we'll let you get back to it, my friend. Appreciate you joining us on the road. Will you be back in studio next week, or what's the deal with that?
I will be back in studio, yes.
Okay, cool. Well, I know you got exams coming up and everything, man, so good luck with that. We'll catch up with you soon. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See you guys.
All right, that's James Giglio, a man of many talents and a man who knows plenty about sports, not only here close to home, but across the U.S. with professional sports as well, and potentially the globe. Just big sports guy, James Giglio is. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We're going to take a look at the Pirates heading to rookie minicamps. Mike Wright, Sam Danka. How do they make these 90-man rosters? We'll tell you how and at what position after this.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
In Eastern North Carolina, people appreciate things that are straightforward, honest, and dependable. For decades, our team has focused on cutting through insurance complexity for the communities we serve. And now, we're bringing that same mindset to our name. We're Flatlands Insurance Group, a simpler name that reflects the same local team, the same values, and the same commitment to the great communities we feel blessed to be a part of. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world is covered.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Inner Banks Media presents the return of Concert on the Common.
This year, we're live from the tailgate lot at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Kicking off this year's concerts, it's the Embers featuring Craig Willard.
Join us Thursday, April 30th, starting at 6 p.m. for Concert on the Common live from the tailgate lot at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium.
Details at concertonthecommon.org.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Got it. You don't have to tell me twice. I remember it exactly.
Steve and Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in on Hoist the Colors. We know Anthony Smith is going to Dallas. It's a 7th round draft pick. He'll get a 4-year contract, a rookie deal as a result of that. Other Pirates heading to the pros, not quite as guaranteed, but they are getting a shot. We mentioned Tristan O'Brien going to New Orleans Saints rookie minicamp as a tryout as a long snapper, and then Mike Wright Jr. going to the Seahawks as a tryout. Also, Sam Danka going to the Denver Broncos as a tryout. I also saw, Philip, before we get started on the ECU guys, do you remember Laith Margin, kicker?
Yeah.
Or Marwan?
Margin.
He signed, he signed a free agent deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was at ECU for 3 years. You know how many kicks he attempted?
6.
0.
What?
We had an NFL kicker on the roster from 21 to 23, and we used him as a kickoff specialist. He transferred to Kansas, and he went 14 of 17 on field goals, 40 of 40 on extra points. He converted a school record 14 consecutive field goals. His 40 extra points ranked 7th most in school history. So, big leg. I guess he wasn't good enough for ECU to try at kicker. Whatever he did, either ECU completely missed on giving him a chance at all, or whatever he did after transferring, he found the magic well as far as water goes, because he became a pro kicker. So it's just kind of crazy. We always, I think that was the Owen Daffer era, whatever you want to term it as.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. Hey, man, the Navy kick, man. The kick against Navy.
He did. Like in 21, he was legitimately good. But obviously what happened in 22, and then I think he got benched for Conrad that year. It's all running together, man, all these kickers. Yeah, because Conrad hit the winner at BYU when he kicked the ground before he kicked the ball. Laith Margin was the 3rd kicker that year, never kicked. And now he's in the NFL. So just wanted to point that out. So that was something. All right, ECU players. Philip Pilkinen back with us. Going to rookie minicamp. Let's start with Mike Wright. We hit on a little bit the other day, but we're talking about a guy who's going to Seattle. Look, first off, the rookie minicamp route is incredibly difficult to make it. So these guys are not guaranteed anything. I don't know if they get paid or not. Maybe they get a stipend of some sort, but they're not signing like an undrafted free agent deal. So there's a difference there, a tryout versus a contract. So typically most teams will leave like a spot or two open on their 90-man offseason roster for standouts at rookie minicamp. And so this would be Mike Wright's path, Sam Danka, Tristan O'Brien's path to make it, to kind of give some explanation there. So we'll start with Mike Wright. I don't know what position he's going as. I have heard that he is going to get more of a look on offense, at least when they do position drills. Obviously, he played corner. He played punter. He played everything on special teams, a gunner. Offensively, he's a former college quarterback. He played running back, receiver. I mean, he's done everything, so anything they ask him to do, he will have experience doing. But I just don't know what position they're going to specialize him in. But I think, Philip, me and you are on the same page here in that he's probably going to have to make it as a special teams first guy, and then from there maybe a gadget player who can find his way onto the field in certain roles.
Yeah, so there was a guy, Joe Webb, who was quarterback at UAB in the late 2000s, who had an 11-year NFL career. And he was quarterback, but was listed technically in the NFL as a wide receiver. Why did he make NFL rosters? Why was he a wide receiver? Because he could return kicks and punts. He did throw a couple passes in the league, but most of the passes he threw was an emergency. He was going to be the emergency quarterback, but got some fourth quarter preseason reps, and then was used for some teams in five wide receiver sets as a fifth option. But the only reason he made the roster was, again, because he could return kicks and punts. That is how Mike Wright makes a roster. If you find yourself on the 53-man, and better yet, on the 46-man on an active game day as a punt returner, as a kick returner, there's only 46 bodies that get to dress out. You might get to play here and there in some special gadget situations, but at the end of the day, you do not make the team as a gadget player unless you're, you have guys who make the team as receivers and become gadget players. Curtis Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, guys like that. But no, these guys have to make the team as a returner, and then you get the gadget plays added in there. So that's what you're going to make the team as, and that is his one shot, I think.
Looking at the Joe Webb comparison, he was 6'3", 223, obviously played at UAB. ECU fans should be familiar with that name, not only because of the Joseph Webb now on the baseball team, but he was a pain to play against for the Blazers. Ran a 4.43 40, really good athlete, 42.5-inch vertical leap. I drew the comparison, too, to Brad Smith of the New York Jets. When I was growing up, he was a Missouri quarterback. Then he made it with the Jets, also played for the Bills and Eagles. 6'2.5", 213, 4.49 40-yard dash, and a 39.5-inch vertical. So, at Pro Day, I don't think Mike Wright's vertical and broad jumps were as explosive as these guys, but he ran around a 4.4. He's a little longer at 6'4", which could be a good thing as well. But ultimately, it's going to come down to playmaking and finding a way to – the other thing, too, is, just win teams over with your personality, which he can do. Even if he's not even if he's numbered 89 or 90 on a roster, I feel like he could do that because he's such a good guy. So, yeah, that's his path, special teams for sure. All right, Sam Danka, I think it's going to be the same route because I don't know what position the Denver Broncos want him as. Obviously, Denver has one of the best defenses in the NFL already, and Danka is such a interesting player. And I still don't know if ECU in 4 years ever found the best spot for him. And maybe there's not a best spot because he's just kind of a hybrid tweener. He's 6'6", 225. He played nickel. He played edge. He played inside linebacker, outside linebacker. It's just I think at this point he's only going to add so much weight. So he's probably going to be standing up somewhere. He's not big enough to stand up as an outside linebacker in the NFL. He's not fast enough to play DB. I think his build won't really allow him to play inside linebacker. So I think, again, this is a special teams case, Philip. He's got to find a way to become elite on special teams. And honestly, with that size, and he can run a little bit, he's not a blazer, but he's got such great length and he's a good tackler. I think that's his path. He just has to – he's going to look the part walking onto the field, and then the coach is just going to be like, all right, well, where does this dude actually play?
Yeah, so his best bet is that some team tries to do what the Houston Texans did about 3 or 4 years ago. For those of you who don't know, the Houston Texans had the 32nd ranked special teams in the NFL. So they went out in the offseason and found 3 players that were going to be specifically special teams guys. And I don't mean punters, I don't mean kickers, snappers, or returners, but guys that were just going to play on all 6 special teams that could tackle, that could block, and that were athletic. They went from, I believe, 20 or 32nd to it was either 3rd or 4th in the league. Not every team has those guys on their roster, unfortunately. Some teams, that is their philosophy. They're okay using roster spots, and not just 53-man spots, but 46-man active player spots on those players. Usually these players are listed as box safeties, slot corners, or linebackers. Really, they're just ATH, athlete. His best bet is finding a team that wants to do that wants to improve their special teams, that wants to find a guy who can make tackles, a guy that knows how to block, a guy that is gritty, and a guy that will play anywhere that you can put him. The unfortunate thing, these opportunities are very few and far between, but if you can land one of these spots, it's a great way to go out there and make the league minimum for the next 5 to 6 years and have a solid career as an NFL player.
And then Tristan O'Brien, there's only but so much to break down here. I mean, he's a snapper. I don't know a whole lot about snapping technique other than times and obviously being accurate with your snaps. I mean, the Saints already have a snapper. They're probably bringing him in more so for special teams. Everybody needs a snapper in rookie minicamp. But this is something big to put on your resume, to me, maybe to make it like in the UFL or CFL. Just say, hey, I was in an NFL rookie minicamp. So for Tristan O'Brien, I think that's his best shot. It's probably going to be hard for him to make an actual roster unless there's an injury or something involved. I did want to point out that Darius Bell got selected in the CFL draft. He is a Canadian, and those guys are obviously eligible for the CFL draft. He goes in the 3rd round. I was doing some research, Philip. I, even as somebody who covers the program closer than anybody, did not realize that the Pirates, as of the end of last season, had 9 active players in the league. Justin Hardy, who has had 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons in the CFL, is now 34 years old, still doing his thing. Tyler Snead, coming off an 1,100-yard season in the CFL. Stanley Bryant, who's been playing offensive tackle in the CFL for I think close to 20 years now or something insane. I mean, he's been there forever. Jeremy Lewis, Deshaun Amos, another veteran who was a part of early rough era. Ryan Jones, tight end, Hampton Ergel, and Parker Moore. So Darius Bell, if Stanley Bryant continues to play, will be the 4th offensive lineman in the CFL from ECU. So Pirates have a big representative in the CFL. It's hard for us to follow. I think there's some random games on ESPN every now and then, but I admittedly don't keep up with it at all. Do see some stats every now and then on social media, but at the end of the day, these guys are getting paid to play professional football and extend their dreams. So I'm all for it, man. And happy for Darius Bell, who can play center, tackle, guard, and did it all for the Pirates as well over 2 years.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity. And, when you look at this, man, football does have the least amount of opportunities, right? Obviously, soccer has the most. Every, country has multiple professional leagues or more one league, but with multiple tiers, really. Baseball, you got Korea, you got Japan, obviously the MLB, and then, basketball, there's a Lithuanian league, the Chinese league, all that. You get the KHL and hockey. So it's just great to see the CFL growing. I don't know how much the Canadian fans up there watch it because a lot of them are NFL fans, but hey, I mean, clearly it's on TV there. It's still on TV here. NFL Network will broadcast some games. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you dream of being a pro football player. Yes, you want to score the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. We all do. But to say that you're able to continue your career as a pro athlete, clearly they're making a livable wage up there. So, somebody's watching it. Somebody's paying for TV ads. So, hey, man, just wish them the best. And, it's something that we kind of talked about, at Pro Day, you and I think Malcolm were talking about it. So, we'll see what happens. Hopefully he can do it. 3rd round pick, 29th overall. It's pretty high. So, good chance that he has a nice little career up there.
Yeah, according to my quick Google search, the average salary is between $100,000 and $133,000 in Canadian dollar. I don't know what the exact conversion is there. I think it's like 75 cents of a U.S. dollar from what I want to say off memory, but which is a pretty good salary for a CFL player, and you can make up to $600,000, which is what some of the quarterback, or 600,000 Canadian dollars, which is what some of the quarterbacks make. Minimum salary $70,000 as far as Canadian dollars are concerned. So there's your update there on the CFL.
What would you say the UFL, minimum was in Canadian dollars?
70,000 as of 2023.
So if you make 70,000 Canadian dollars, you're making just over 51 grand US. So definitely a livable wage, unless you're living in the heart of New York City, which they're not.
No doubt. So there's your conversion rate there. And then UFL, wanted to mention Isaiah Winstead, Noah Henderson still going at it. Rajay Harris was playing for the Battlehawks, unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury. and unfortunate there. And then on the NFL side, obviously, Anthony Smith getting drafted. He joins Jaquan McMillan, Keaton Mitchell, Siobhan Revel, and Julius Wood. Zay Jones is currently a free agent. We'll see if he signs with anybody. He signed a one-year deal with the Cardinals last year. He's currently still available. All right, let's get a break in. There's your look at Pirates and the Pros on the football side, kind of a breakdown there. We got a question from John Moody on scheduling. I'll answer that to wrap up the show. We'll hit a few more things as well after this timeout.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry $229 a month or RAV4 $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU Athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corollas $159 a month or Tacomas $249 a month. Save today at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
Oh, hey, welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Final few minutes of the show here. Final segment. Philip Pilkington alongside. John Moody wants to know what's the latest on football scheduling in the chat. Really, there's not too much this year that John Gilbert didn't hit on a few, or I guess it would have been last week at this point, John Moody. But 2028 is the big thing we're waiting on. ECU has Western Carolina that season. Georgia State coming to Greenville at Northwestern on September 18th. You're looking at a game for September 25th, 2027 to round out that four-game non-conference slate. Most likely, from what I've heard, it's going to be Coastal Carolina, as that series will be extended. That's not official. That's just what I've heard a lot. I would assume it'd be on the road because Coastal also comes to ECU in 2028 to round out that initial series, and then you would have games in future years as well. I've also heard App State, that series will likely be extended. At what years? When? I do not have an exact answer on that, but I do anticipate that series continuing. 2029 will be the next year to really keep an eye on. You only have two games that year, ODU and Liberty. You're probably going to add an FCS game, and then do you go play a bye game in 2029 on the road? That's something the ECU's got to figure out. I was looking at something during the break for we have all these tournaments going on, all these postseason events going on, Philip, and I found myself asking, do we like the 2-3-2 format for a 7-game series that MLB does better or 2-2-1-1-1 that NBA and NHL do?
So I think they've all kind of got it right. Like baseball, like that makes more sense, right? You don't want these random travel days in one game because you don't take days off between. But also I do like in hockey and basketball, like game 5, the home team gets, you never have more road games than you home games. So that's fair. But that's just too much travel for baseball. So I don't mind it. I do know one time the NBA finals for years, just to save on travel, had gone 2-3-2. They 6-7 years ago went back to 2-2-1-1-1. So I think they both kind of got it right for the respective sports.
We also got a question. Did we hit on Trey Savage's start? We did. He pitched into the 6th. A little more detail there. 5 1/3, 3 Ks, 4 hits, no walks, 74 pitches. He was pulled to a standing ovation as the Blue Jays took down the Red Sox 3-0 in Savage's first start. He got his first win. So really good outing. And look, not as dominant maybe as he was in postseason as far as swings and misses, but you'll take 5 1/3 scoreless ball into the 6th inning every time. So Trey Savage, really good start back to his MLB rotation for 2026, and the Blue Jays need it because they are struggling right now early in the season. All right, we're out of time. Great show. Appreciate everybody in the comments section. Appreciate Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios as well. And also thanks to James Giglio for joining us on the road. Tomorrow, we'll be back. We'll have Bobby Harward on a Thursday. He's got to join us a day early. We'll catch up with him. We'll preview the weekend ahead. Continue to talk all things ECU sports as well. We'll see you on Thursday, 12 noon.